Welcome to TradeTheMBI.com. This is John's reports for Tuesday, the 23rd of August. And, well, missing out on a day. Unfortunately, it was a little bit more of a movement day, which is scary when you look at that tiny range right there. But we actually did get a little bit more back and forth action, but not worth enough points to really do a whole lot of anything except for trading in a very short time frame. We're still making lower shakeout readings here, but we finally have a stabilization of the blue hazard lines, which means that any decay there, we should start to see a little bit more downdraft. But the thing is, the shakeout's pretty much almost reset itself completely. We've got steel all the way from the bottom now, so any new buy turnaround at this particular point, it needs to be within the next day or so, because you've already got the cross of the steel. If midterm buyers cross a little bit later, then your short-term buyers have already spent themselves, and you don't get as much a move. The fact that shorts have activated into this, it's a good thing. And what's interesting about it is your short signal from when you go above the 7.5. In this particular case, it didn't happen. I don't know if I can get up there. It's only at 690, so it never reached the 7. You have to get all the way up there in order for it to signal that. Didn't do it in this particular case. On the 5Ks or even on the case charts, it does do it. NQ, finally coming back up above the steel. That's important because once you move below, it's almost as if you're coming up on top. So we expect a little more weakness out of the NQ because it had done so much better than both the S&P as well as the Dow. The Dow is still weaker than all of them put in the DOC spread earlier, and it's actually fallen into some of those ABM values. Not oversold, all pretty close though. Continuation lower on that, and if we get below the red line, then I would expect that we're going to come and revisit these bottom numbers down here. That would be the expectation. So, and that can happen despite not seeing much activity from the S&P or even the NASDAQ. But some of it's got a little frothy, so they may get a little bit of pullback in between. USO had sort of peaked under number 3 right there. Puts in full DOC spread right there, where the shorts have taken over in all aspects. A little bit of a dip below on the shakeout. We had some positive extremes to fill back there. While it was quite an extreme move to the downside, it's also an extreme move to the upside. Gold's not going anywhere. It's not really an inflation-based move, so it's just been some random trading, and you can get away with that in the summer action. Probably in another couple of weeks, not so much a possibility. TLT, there it is, still people flocking to safety because they're just terrified. Here we have the euro, still at the high end of the range. Got the pullback all the way to, almost a 50% move. Now we got to redo our lines from this one. We can pull this all the way up to this little decay right here, and potentially up to this new run right there. And that would give us pretty much the retrace right back to the positive extreme that took place. Would be a 50%, a little bit more than a 50% move. It's still early for that, no real signal. So from a 50K standpoint, near its equity highs, if this trade works out, it's looking forward to the positive side. Nothing really happening of interest as far as that goes. Here was the case. Likewise, has been just a flat line. I mean, just a few points back and forth, and this has been like this excessive short. Now in this particular case, fine, the short came in at the 78 range. There have been plenty of little trades within there, both longs and short, and those seem extreme, but that is not a whole lot of points. When you look at the close of the NBI, 75 peaks out at 82. So, 5-6 points can add up if you're able to follow with what they're doing and utilizing that, like I said before, the +7. You get your short, and then it turns around pretty darn quick when you come right back with the spider. Though in these particular cases, those call for +10 when you get above the +13 like this. Only problem is it didn't do the spider on the cyan quickly. It exhausted itself pretty fast. So right here was your next play, and then boom, crossed back above right here. Theoretically should have called for +10 right in there from 2180. Not even close to getting there. It hasn't done anything up to 83. It's slow. That's the only way you can describe it. Not a whole lot of activity happening with that. Which corresponds to various stocks. Not a whole lot happening there. Key ones we're looking at. FAS would be the one. Financials again. It's got to break into a new range for it to really make anything happen. We've been watching PCLN as well for travel. And all the other ones, I'll just click through them. Tesla, you can look at the charts. There's nothing I think is all that exciting about most of what's happening. Tesla's been in a weak sell compared to some of the others, but still holding up on positive shakeouts. So if that's the worst you've got, then it's not that horrible. Twitter was a lot weaker as it rolled over, had a lot more positive extremes from that explosion run than it did. And a favorite has been Amazon. Also, topping out a lot of there. It's gotten oversold, so it's already oversold. Barely hit the green, came right back above it. Gotta love it when that happens. Already reset now. I'm still fading on the short term. Short-term buyers have moved into it a little bit, but fading on the long term and mid-term. So if those turn around there with the shorts at this level, it's going to be a strong turnaround. So this is the short period that developed as soon as it moved to the 7.5. It's doing just that, but as soon as that steel comes up, it's going to turn around. So be looking for that. I'm going to be looking to get out updated. Let me show you the other chart because this is the one that's more accurate from the red line. It doesn't produce as many given the conditions, and so in some cases you'll have to wait for the actual transition of color that would be breakdowns from the ABM and that, but it's going to happen much later. I think you would get an indication right here, and under very specific criteria, so this thing barely moves against just a few points and languishes. So there'll be early readings before they start to break down, but it's going to be far more effective for us to be able to then look at the right MBIs and that. And what's going to happen with these, I'm probably just going to turn it into an asterisk when they don't qualify. Because they do become helpful from a stop standpoint, because when you do get either the MBI and GAMs come in there, you have the potential for some significant turnarounds. But the close above the long algo and some of these other things really require that you have a very specific correlation between other algorithms in order for it to have a symmetry to them that are going to cause those explosions. And so now that we've identified those, but it's good to have them because it's like you'd want to be able to know, all right, I've got this stop that I need to lower at this particular point because I have the potential of that breakout move. And there's always a fine line between capturing just enough and or being too tight. And fortunately, with the adjustability that I'm working into this, we'll have some flexibility in being able to make those inputs on your end, as well as just the set parameters that then can be expanded from. So that's the plan. As always, though, look for me on Skype chat. Trade well.